Hi, it's Vaishali. I dedicate this video to the power we each have to build friendships that revive and rebuild communities. I offer it as a prayer for the inexplicable losses being sustained in Gaza and many parts of the world where friendship cannot take seed and grow. I also offer it to leaders looking to build greater trust and mindfulness in their organizations. This is happening to me. You can tell me if it's happening to you. I'm becoming more and more selective of the friends I'm attracting and keeping in my space. And I'm not just talking about the friends on social media. If you know me, I just got on Facebook and Insta and YouTube about 6 weeks ago. So I have a pretty traditional view of friendship. The trend I'm observing is how much more discriminating people are getting about forging and maintaining friendships, or even some long-standing family relationships. There's an ease now to severing ties that I haven't seen before. After the social distancing jolt that we've all had in the last 3 years, it does feel that people are somewhat pulling away and forming smaller circles. This is deemed to be an effort to stick with people who value you or cut out people that are negative. I bet every one of us has a few fantastic stories to tell about our friends, these human beings that cross our path, shed light when we're in the dark, give us a hand when we feel alone and lost, accept us as we are when no one else can, and if we're lucky, even wait patiently until we catch up at our own time and give us the straight talk that nobody else dares or cares to. Here are a few flavors you might relate to. Some friends grow with us through the decades, and some walk with us for part of the journey and spin away as our frequencies change naturally. Others lay quiet behind the scenes, and we even forget about them. But when we fall beyond our own measure, they are the ones who rise from the depths for maybe a phase and ensure that we cross over to the other side. And we suddenly realize they never left us. And finally, let's not forget those that seem to be ever present, connecting with us all the time, making us feel supported and understood as we excel and grow. Until that day, because of a challenging situation or disagreement, they go completely off script and jolt us ever so painfully from the dream. Whether they cut us off in one fell swoop without another word, or hurl judgments and accusations that we never imagined or intended, they remind us how we ourselves can go too far in expecting that our closest friends will behave and respond as we would when the going gets tough. Like you, I've had a friend of almost every flavor there. Like it or not, this terrain of bumping into strangers, picking and choosing who to engage with, who to invest with, for reasons known or unknown, and then working hard, effortlessly or tirelessly to keep that exchange of energy alive, or simply letting go consciously or unintentionally, is a huge part of our life journey. In general, we all mature with age and reflect with greater wisdom and begin to calculate who our true friends are. So let's talk about that wisdom. Many people have shut out others or curtailed their level of connection or care based on what their newfound wisdom informs them about what serves them and what does not. We now embody this newfound wisdom because it helps us be ourselves. But our ego seems to have actually inflated because all that really centers around one thing: that you and I are more different than we think, that the I, which extends to what's in it for me, what have you done for me lately, using words in resignation like I'm done with and I'm sick of, extreme language that remains entrenched in separateness as opposed to collective oneness. In one way, it's great to see this play out at a country level. Countries like India, that have traditionally been rule takers, are now standing up to neutralize the sharing of world power in the name of fairness and equity for all. But as an individual, community, or organization, we are seeing failing strategies on how to raise youth who are empathetic, grateful, and socially intelligent global citizens. We are also seeing organizations whose inclusion strategies are not building supportive communities at work. I get it. We all have been tested hard, and we all have woken up to an awareness of the scarcity of time and energy that we have. And per my earlier talk on self-awareness, we are laser focused on what we value most, and we steer our social time in that direction. Here's the thing though. I think this is one of the reasons our hearts and this world seems to have shrunk in terms of our collective social intelligence. It is healthy to draw light lines that protect our interpretation of the world. But I believe as a race, we have become far less tolerant and accepting of our differences. The inordinate number of new identifiers and differentiators does not help. Now, It's Gen XYZ followed by him, her, they, along with trans, bi, heterosexual, gay, lesbian, etc. And on top of our different races and religions and nationalities, it's become a very complicated terrain for friendship. So walk with me through what's happening to our social fabric all around us. Let's venture beyond the eye bubble for just a moment. According to a 2023 Forbes mental health study, 50% of the known 650 million people experiencing depression and anxiety are under the age of 25. These are our leaders of tomorrow. Another 25 are aged between 25 and 49, and those are the people raising our leaders for tomorrow. A recent Harvard study reveals that those in the 18 to 25-year age group have seen the biggest spike in loneliness. Loneliness is an epidemic. We all know this right now. Loneliness has made friend-making apps mainstream. Today, friendships play out entirely in chat rooms or on social media. According to survey data from Bumble, 66% of Gen Z respondents said they've made friends online, and 41% feel intimidated approaching other people in person. Attendance at group activities like religious gatherings and recreational sports is dropping fast amongst millennials and Gen Z. And let's face it, all of us are now rubbing shoulders with new people less often, and striking up conversations with strangers feels even more weird than ever. Okay, so here's something encouraging though. Many young adults are hungry for more connection. So all this got me thinking. I've got some questions. How are we, and by we referring to those people in the age of 35 to 60, how are we helping by drawing harder lines in the sand about which friends we want and who we associate with? Why has the definition of friendship narrowed so much that entire generations are experiencing such a dire loss of connection and community? What legacy are we leaving to this next generation when we limit our circle of friends by stricter definition and reduce our participation in community? Do we have a responsibility to return to that place where friendships don't just serve one person, ourselves, but an entire community? When I'm a little lost, I tend to turn back to origin. I began to look at the place of friendship in history and ancient texts. And you know what I found? There is a common theme. Friendships all centered around accepting the failings of others and focusing on the good in others. Friendships were forged and leveraged to strengthen morale and faith in every community, and yes, sometimes at the expense of other communities, but the purpose was bigger. Let's take, for example, the Christian faith. Jesus befriended not just Peter, John, Matthew, and Lazarus, but he extended his love and hand of friendship to Mary Magdalene, an adulteress. In doing so, he astutely challenged each individual to take responsibility for participation in the act of condemning someone else, thus exposing their own hypocrisy. Jesus also befriended Judas, who betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver. Jesus was more vested in transforming Judas to embrace the power of forgiveness and acceptance. Let's turn to the Hindu texts, which speak of epic friendships between Krishna and Arjun, as well as Lord Ram and Hanuman. Friendships that were formed and maintained to ensure that faith in truth and good prevailed for generations to come. And when we turn to the Islamic faith, friendship is considered one of the divine blessings through which one overcomes loneliness and solitude. It prescribes forgiveness of shortcomings of others and respect for different personalities, and to always attend to others in need. All of this points to unity and not division. It points to forgiveness and acceptance. It points to observation and betterment of one's self before judging another. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek. I hope to meet him someday. Even in this modern day, his notion of friendship is centered on defining the why of your friendships by what value you add to friends. He prescribes friendship as an investment, not a transaction. You do not show up for your friends based on the number of times they show up for you. Friendship to me are like music and art. They may define us to some limited extent, but they do not and should not divide us. Our notion of friendship today has a responsibility to address the social pandemic that we have been ushered into and to some extent are responsible for. Here's 5 ways you can help extend your power as a friend to rebuild a notion of community and connectedness. Re-examine your stance on friendship or any meaningful journey you may have shared with another human being. I challenge you to go beyond the idea of spending time and energy with only those who share common beliefs and interests and are value added, Do all that, but do not discard others who have seemingly failed you. Number 2, challenge yourself to draw the greatest value from within and not from others. We seek to stay with those who seemingly value us, and we perceive that if they do not, we retract our friendship. Maybe accept that they express their value of us differently than we understand, and have that conversation instead. Number 3, teach and build friendship at home first. Play and talk more with your kids, especially as they get older and get indoctrinated into the world of digital media. The power of connection is taught at home. Number 4, get out there. Every week, by yourself, with your families and friends, and become a regular member of a bigger community. Maybe a place of service or purpose or common interest, and keep amplifying the power of us versus I. I surmise that friendship will have a whole new frequency of purpose, and you will derive value from something much bigger than what you need to feel valued for. And finally, help build a culture of friendship at work. Mentor someone who is young and different from yourself with your own intention to learn. Build your self-awareness practice. Show your vulnerability. Bring mindfulness into your workplace where so many people are truly looking for understanding and support of all kinds. Learn and exemplify inclusive behavior to break down barriers to belonging. This will help turn your teams into resilient communities that work together through thick and thin. The Envia movement is bringing mindfulness to individuals, organizations, and youth. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Share your comments below so that we may have that uncomfortable or validating conversation. You can always reach me for a conversation at book.meetandvia.com.